The infamous airplane dream scene is bad for so many reasons, but there is one main thing about it that bugs me, and when we get to it, I'll tell you what that is. And I'll tell you how they should have fixed this scene and one main story point. The rest of this video is going to be therapeutic ranting, and I invite you to join me in the comment section and to just get it all off your chest. It's much healthier to just get it out there and not let it fester. So scroll down and tell me in the comments which scene or character or whatever you hate the most about Jurassic Park 3 and why. And on your way down, maybe hit that like and subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. Everyone loves to hate on Jurassic Park 3, and the thing is, I don't hate it, maybe. I watch it quite regularly, and I do enjoy it for what it is. But once the credits roll, I become confused and irritated, and I need to do some soul searching to come to terms with why I keep coming back to this movie, even though for all intents and purposes it is so bad. I need to rant about it to cleanse my aura or whatever, absolve myself from my guilt, take a shower to wash off the ick. And since it has been confirmed that Alan Grant, Ali Sadler, and Ian Malcolm will be returning for the next Jurassic World movie, I wanted to rant about JP3 in a video, because one of the things that bothers me so much about poorly done sequels is how it can retroactively detract from amazing established characters, and that is a risk that is upon us once more. The Lost World Jurassic Park starred Ian Malcolm, and whether or not you enjoyed that movie, although I think we're mostly leaning towards positive perception on that one, the movie didn't change or contradict his character. It didn't put him in a different light to change how we experience him in the original Jurassic Park, so no harm, no foul. JP3, however, chews up Alan Grant, swallows him, lets stomach acid eat away at him, and then shits him out in this big, massive dump that is the entire movie. And watching the movies is like that one scene where Alan, Amanda, and William H. Macy have to dig into that big pile of shit to find the satellite phone. We, the audience, are also sifting through dino dung, trying to find what we want from a Jurassic Park movie. And let me clarify, there are some good things to find in there, and I'll talk about those, but it doesn't change the fact that we spent 92 minutes poop scooping for positives. So I'll start with those positives, and then I'll put on a hazmat suit to tackle the rest. First off, perhaps a controversial opinion, I like the Spinosaurus. It's not an accurate design, as we now know, although I'm not sure what the scientific consensus was at the time of shooting. But it's a design that fits well with the franchise, simply because the dinosaur looks about as cool as it possibly could. The sound design is equally excellent in my opinion. One thing that always stands out to me are the eyes, those yellowish, milky, soulless orbs. It doesn't look how we in the modern era know eyes to look like, and I enjoy that. It's creepy. It's good. I also, definitely controversially, like how it won the battle against the T-Rex. I like the fact that the Spinosaurus has functional forearms and that it actually gives him an advantage in the fight. And I don't mind it usurping the T-Rex for one movie, because 2 movies into the new trilogy, I'm actually getting a little bit of T-Rex fatigue. It's becoming predictable how Rexy comes in and inadvertently saves the day. And I also like how the movie leaned into the Raptor's intelligence. They went too far, and more on that later, but I do like this notion of them being smart enough to communicate and coordinate and have that put on display. Again, they went way too far, and we're getting there. And nothing JP3 does comes close to the mind-blowing scene from the original, where the Raptor opens the door to the kitchen, which isn't just the Raptors being smart, but also brilliant movie making. But I like smart raptors, and I like seeing them do smart things. And obviously, JP3 gives me that. I just don't like that they are so smart that it actually makes the movie dumb. The final positive, the raptors look great. I know everyone loves the design of the males, but I prefer the design of the females, and it's the #1 skin I want to see added to Jurassic World Evolution. Now, with that out of the way, let's suit up and swan dive into that pile of shit. We're starting with the obvious, the raptor on a plane scene. I'm so done with this raptor on this plane. If you're a subscriber to my channel, you might have heard me tell a little story about a dream I had about the gaming beaver. So I can't argue with stupid dreams. I have them all the time. I could argue with unironically putting stupid dreams in a movie, but that's another day, another drama. I can accept Alan's PTSD manifesting itself as a weird dream wherein a raptor sits in a plane seat, claws on the headrest of the seat in front of him like every excitable child that has ever sat behind you on a long international flight. I can accept it. As out of place as it is in this franchise, since it feels more like something an offbeat indie film would do, I can live with it. But I am not fine with Alan's PTSD making him have a nightmare about a raptor he has never seen before. Alan did not see the male quilled raptors from Sorna. He should be dreaming about the big one. At best, his vision of the male Sorna raptor could be explained by him having seen photos of the Sorna raptors after his visit to Nublar, so he would know what they look like, but they aren't the source of his trauma, so they shouldn't appear in his dreams. This dream scene would have been acceptable to me if they had changed it to make sense in his story arc. I think what they should have done was have a shot of him sleeping on the airplane, resting against the side, his face close to the circular window. He starts to wake up, and all of a sudden there's a snout pressed against the window, and there's that classic snort that makes the glass fog up, and this causes Alan to jolt in his seat, fully wake up, and realize it was just a dream. And that would have been a callback to the kitchen scene, which of course Alan was not present for, and the control room scene where he does experience a moment of seeing a raptor behind glass. It would still be weird, but it would be a justifiable callback, and it would make more sense and be less meme-worthy stupid. Another way in which JP3 screwed up and screwed over Alan Grant's character as if the writers and director had never seen the original movie is how they split up Alan and Ellie. Jurassic Park 1993 is not a monster movie. It's a thriller with some truly brilliant character work and progression. Not quite subtle, but definitely endearing is how Alan warms up to children, and the look he exchanges with Ellie in the helicopter at the end is meant to be meaningful. Before, her desire to have children and his reluctance would stand in the way of their relationship inevitably, but he experiences a clear change of heart, and it brings him and Ellie closer together. What does JP3 do with that character evolution? Zip. Nada. Nothing. The couple splits up for an unspoken reason. Ellie has the kid she wants, and Alan is alone and childless. Why? Why? If it served a purpose and was handled better, maybe I could get on board, but I suspect the sole reason was so that Ellie would be married to Mr. State Department, and that is so lazy. They could have easily made it so that Alan calls Ellie, his wife, with the satellite phone and tells her the river, site B, and Ellie, Alan's wife, calls Hammond, and Hammond is the one with the State Department ties, or maybe the Costa Rican government, since he is still leasing an island of theirs after all, and that's how help arrives to get them off the island. There. It's that simple. No need to marry Ellie off to Mr. Random, and it gives more emotional weight to everything as well. But JP3 isn't done yet with doing Alan Grant dirty. No, no, no. Once again, the promise of a donation to keep his research going is what it takes for a deeply traumatized paleontologist to face his deepest fears. I mean, we're talking the kind of trauma that makes you dream about seeing a raptor on a plane calling out your name. Of course, he doesn't know they'll be landing on the island, but he clearly despises the Kirbys and the idea of being their tour guide. Him accepting a check from them doesn't read as passion for his work, but as him being a sellout. And Grant is supposed to be a smart guy, so it's so frustrating to see him get manipulated by Amanda and William H. Macy. There are amazing, ironically out of work, screenwriters in Hollywood. You can't tell me they couldn't have found someone to come up with a more compelling reason to get Alan to go to Sorna. What I was thinking, and bear with me because I am not an amazing screenwriter, is this. So what if Alan and Ellie had gotten married, had a child, lived happily ever after until, tragically, they lost that child? The movie doesn't have to explore this, but just set this up. Alan opened up to the idea of having children. Maybe he has a son and he teaches him about dinosaurs, but the boy dies. I'm picturing an unspecified illness, and we just get a shot of the boy in a hospital bed holding onto a dinosaur plushie. This, of course, completely gutted both Alan and Ellie, and perhaps the grief causes a wedge between them, and causing Alan to throw himself into his research, even though raptors now terrify him. He's always working, and during his work he's assisted by his graduate student, Billy. And we get a couple more scenes between them, establishing more of a foundation of a father-son type of relationship, although Alan would be clearly reluctant to really allow himself to care. Billy, passionate about paleontology, working with Dr. Grant and wanting to please him and make him proud, recognizes that the research is about to lose its funding and he does something stupid, as JP characters are prone to do. He and a couple of his parasailing, adventurous, adrenaline junkie friends go on an expedition to Sorna to get something they can sell to keep the research going. But not all of Billy's friends are into the idea, so a couple of them say thanks, but no thanks. Alan returns to the dig site after his fruitless lecture at the university, and to his dismay and concern, he finds out Billy has been absent for a couple of days, and then later, the friends that didn't want to go to the island show up distraught because Billy and the others were supposed to be back, but they haven't heard from them yet. And then they tell Alan about what Billy had planned to do, and they go on a rescue mission. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, that would be similar to The Lost World, but I'd rather have Alan's motivations be similar to Malcolm's than to have them be similar to his motivations from the first movie, because after what he's been through, his motivation needs to be stronger than money. Also, it would have been cool to add in a little scene with Malcolm. Maybe Alan meets up with him and he admits that he's scared of going back, and Malcolm, after, being his sarcastic self, says something like, "You'll probably die, but you won't be able to live with yourself if you don't try to save him. So which death is worse?" And that's the push that Alan needs to go save Billy, with the help of a couple of Billy's friends and some hired guns that Hammond can drum up for him on a short notice. And maybe he doesn't tell Ellie, his wife, what he's going to do. Okay, so sorry about that awfully long sidetrack, but I felt like giving an alternative was the best way to get my point across. Money, it wasn't good enough. Money shouldn't have gotten him to get onto that plane with Amanda and William H. Macy. Okay, I'll continue my rant now. Let's take down that positive that I mentioned earlier, the Raptor's intelligence. Yes, I like them being smart, but there are 3 scenes in this movie that make them too smart. I mean, this goes far, far beyond primate intelligence, and it's too far. The first also happens to be the Raptor's first real appearance, aside from booking a seat on Alan's dream plane. It's the scene where Amanda wanders through the compound, and she sees the Raptor that appears to be dead in a preservation tube. For the Raptors, to achieve this trick requires an insane level of intelligence. I can't even fully explain it, but I'll try. For starters, planning. The Raptor must have been in that room long before the characters arrived and remained entirely soundless as the people meandered through the lab. The Raptor could have just attacked them. There is no need to rely on an ambush, but he decided to just lay in waiting. So the Raptor anticipated that they would come into this room, and he hid in there to wait for them. Secondly, he needed to have an understanding that standing behind the tank would create the optical illusion that he was actually inside the tank when seen from the other side. Think about this. 2 Raptors would have needed to test this trick beforehand, with one of them plastering itself against the glass and the other one on the other side of the tube telling him, "Oh my god, dude, it totally looks like you're in there. That is so freaky." Third, although probably the least egregious offense, the Raptors need to understand that holding perfectly still will convince another highly intelligent, sentient being that he is not a threat, even when looking directly at him. I actually did a quick Google search and I couldn't find an instance of modern day animals playing dead as a hunting strategy, So at the very least, it's safe to say that it's very, very unique and unusual. Prey animals, of course, regularly play dead, but it's for a very different tactical reason. I find it very hard to believe that raptors, incredibly skilled hunters through other means, have evolved a hunting tactic wherein they play dead, waiting for prey to happen upon them, and then to attack. It's too much. Side note though, while the raptor has just displayed this amazing intelligence, including incredible spatial awareness and an understanding of the perception of other animals, in the very next moment he makes the dumb mistake of trying to attack Amanda through a space between two tanks that isn't wide enough for him to fit through and too strong for him to break through. So he does something smart and then he does something stupid. Like what are you? Are you smart or are you stupid? Pick one. Pick one. Pick a lane. Moving on to the next Einstein raptor scene, the Udesky trap. Again, this relies on an insane intelligence, including emotional intelligence, understanding that other beings have an attachment to each other that will drive them to put themselves in danger to help others. The raptors know that as long as Udesky shows signs of life, the other humans will attempt to come to his aid, exposing themselves to the hunters. This is a trap that goes far beyond the clever girl trap from the original movies. Now, I won't get to it any further because I think my analysis of the compound trap has made my point pretty clear. But again, I'll say that after doing something astonishingly intelligent, the raptors again go right ahead and make a dumb mistake. They try to attack Amanda before she is actually within their reach. The movie just doesn't seem to be able to make up its mind about how intelligent the raptors are and how accurate their spatial awareness is. And I think this is because the movie isn't really understanding just how intelligent what they are doing is and just how stupid those mistakes are. They don't go together, but the writers don't realize that. All they thought was, "Oh, this is cool." And they didn't realize that they were writing themselves into a corner. Like if you're going to make them incredibly intelligent, that's going to cause issues down the line, but rather than face those issues, they just slash at the IQ of the raptors whenever they need to. Let's just move on to the final intelligent raptors scene that bugs me to hell. The bartering scene at the end. So the raptors want the eggs, right? But there's a very simple way for them to achieve that. Kill the humans, and then rip through everything in search of the eggs while, having a little snack at the same time. Why is there this standoff in which they need the humans to almost ceremoniously relinquish the eggs? What else could have happened here? Had Alan thrown the eggs out of the window like he was planning to? Would the raptors expect some kind of explanation of why they don't have the eggs anymore? What was the idea here? Maybe it's not so much that this scene is a problem with the raptors' intelligence as it is just a problem with the writer's stupidity. It doesn't make any sense. I've rambled on way too long about this specific point of the movie, and this is going to be an insufferable video as it is, so I'll try to get through my other points more quickly, but they are still very important, and they sum up what just makes this movie so dumb. Okay, here we go. The parents, Amanda and whoever William H. Macy is supposed to be, are sociopaths. They basically kidnap people to arguably the most dangerous place on Earth, and after seeing several of them die, and while they are still in mortal danger themselves, they talk about whether or not the Buick was totaled and how gosh darn fun fishing is. Also, nobody gives a damn about Ben. This guy was kinda set up to be a douche, but it's still a person who died. Amanda doesn't care, which is rich, like why were you dating him then? But also Alan and Billy don't even blink at the sight of his skeleton. They only make a face at the smell. Hello, this was a person, yet the only way they can react to him is the awful smell and being annoyed by the flies? They shouldn't be so casual about this. It's another way in which the movie completely disrespects Alan as a person and as a character. Eric surviving for 8 weeks on the island pisses on the face of everyone who has died in the previous movies and in the movies that would follow. 8 weeks. He survived 8 weeks. In the previous movie, an entire platoon of skilled hunters and mercenaries gets picked off in a couple of days, like 2 or 3 days or something. Skilled, armed men don't stack up against a kid with smoke grenades because the kid happens to have read a couple of books on dinosaurs. The dinosaurs look fantastic, as I previously acknowledged, but the rest of the movie looks horrible. Everything looks like a set because basically everything is. The jungle feels so fake and small, and some of the shots make the plastic plants really, really apparent. You are reminded constantly that you are watching actors on a soundstage. There is no danger here, and that lessens the experience the whole way through. The lack of continuity with The Lost World is infuriating. You have a movie set on the same island, but you can't acknowledge past events? Couldn't the compound at least have been the same as The Lost World? But then again, if it was the same compound, why do all the raptors look so vastly different? And where's the T-Rex pair? And why didn't the Spino pop up all over the place during the second movie? Because nobody gave a damn about continuity beyond using a familiar title, logo, and character names. That's why. And it's annoying. Billy should have died. Now I sound like a sociopath, but it just doesn't make any sense that he survived. Logically, logistically, or emotionally. The only people who died were the type of characters that are basically just Dino Chow with a name. Now, the movies have always shied away from letting a character's death have any emotional gravitas, but this could have been one of JP3's very few redeeming qualities. Finally, someone died who had been established beforehand and mourned afterwards. But nope, they didn't have the balls to follow through. The plot hole of the boat crew dying at the beginning of the movie. It has to be said. I have nothing to add to it, I just need to get it off my chest. The finale of my rant concerns the astonishing, agitating number of coincidences that this movie relies on so heavily. It's stupid. I'll quickly run through the ones that I could think of and tell me in the comments which I have missed, because I am sure I've missed a couple. Take into account that Sorna is a pretty big island, and it would be almost miraculous for just one of the following points to occur, let alone all of them. 1. Finding Ben and Eric's parasail. 2. Finding Eric. 3. Alan finding Billy's lucky bag in the hadrosaur herd. 4. Alan and Eric finding the rest after being separated. 5. Finding the satellite phone. Twice, technically. 6. The Spinosaurus finding them 4 times following the initial attack. He found the crashed plane, which, why would he even go after the crashed plane? He shouldn't understand that there are nummy people inside it. He found them when they fled from the wrecks. He found them by the aviary. And he found them on the river. How? 7. The raptors finding them at the beach. How could they have tracked them after they took the boat down the river, leaving no scent trail? The same goes for the Spino, by the way. He shouldn't have been able to follow them after the whole ordeal in the aviary. So all that remains is coincidence. 8. The army having landed on the exact same spot on the beach where the group ends up. Of hundreds of miles of coastline, this is the point where both parties end up. 9. The army showing up at all because Ellie is married to some random guy in the State Department. And 10. Finally, the army finding Billy somewhere in the jungle, even before finding the rest of them. It's too much. It's way too much. And I'm sure there's actually even more that I've missed, and it's already too much. There. Phew. I feel better. I am now at peace. I am unburdened. What will always remain weird to me is that I can rant about this movie for hours if left unchecked, yet I still get the mood to watch it about once a year, and I don't even have a bad time for those 92 minutes. And for me, that means JP3 isn't even my least favorite movie in this franchise. But maybe that's a rant for another day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time. Alan. Psst. Psst. Hey. Alan. Alan.